When you're in HR, keeping track of all the rules and regs, it feels like a constant thing.
It really does.
So today, we're diving straight into a big one. The Fair Credit Reporting Act, the FCRA.
Yep.
We want to cut through the noise and get to what's really essential for hiring.
Exactly. And we're pulling directly from the source, the Electronic Code of Federal Regulations, specifically Title 16, Chapter 1, Subchapter F, Parts 600 to 698, basically.
Okay, the official stuff.
Right. Our mission here really is to arm HR pros like you with a clear roadmap. Understand your obligations, protect candidates, and keep hiring fair. It's foundational for a good workplace culture right from the start.
Absolutely. Building that trust. Okay, so the eCFR. It can look pretty intimidating at first glance. How's it actually laid out? Does the structure help?
It does, actually. Think of Subchapter F as a kind of logical filing system for consumer reporting rules.
Right.
You've got Part 600, which often just says reserved, but it's where you'd find general FTC policy stuff. Sets the stage,
Okay, like the overview.
The Part 602 is important because it tells you when the big FAT Act changes actually kicked in, the effective dates.
Right, the timeline and definitions. Always key in legal stuff.
Spot on. Part 603 makes sure everyone's using the same vocabulary, defining terms just like the FCRA does,
Yeah.
unless they specifically say otherwise. Consistency is huge here. A small mix-up in terms can cause big compliance headaches.
Mm-hmm.
And Part 604 has that severability clause, basically means if one bit gets struck down, the rest of the law still stands. Good for stability.
Got it. So, consistent terms, stable law. Now, I saw mentions of things like military credit monitoring, free reports. How do those fit in for employers?
Yeah, Part 609 through 614 cover areas like that. And it's worth noting, like our sources point out, a lot of that stuff, especially around free annual reports, got republished by the CFPB.
Ah, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau.
Exactly, under their Regulation V, which is 12 CFR Part 122. So sometimes you need to look in both places, depending on the specific issue.
Okay, good to know. Different agencies, different spots. So let's get to the core for employers. Hiring decisions. What are the absolute must-dos under FCRA? The non-negotiables.
Permissible purpose. That's the bedrock. You must have a legitimate reason, and for hiring, that means getting the candidate's written okay before you pull any report.
Before. Not during, not after. Before.
But critically important,
Yeah.
It's not optional.
And getting that permission, it's not just a quick checkbox on the application, is it?
No, definitely not. The FCRA lays out a clear two-step dance. First, a clear and conspicuous written disclosure.
Meaning
It stands out, it's easy to read, probably on its own piece of paper, saying, hey, we might get a consumer report for this job.
Okay, step one, disclose.
Clearly. Then, step two, get their written authorization. Again, this should be separate. They need to clearly sign off specifically on you getting that background check. No ambiguity.
Disclose solo, authorize solo. Got it. Now, the tricky part. What if the report turns up something? Information that makes you hesitate about hiring. That's where pre-adverse and adverse action come in.
Yes, and this is where things can get really sticky if you don't follow the steps. It's all about fairness and giving the candidate a chance. If anything in that report might cause you to not hire them.
Even just might.
Even just might. You have to trigger the pre-adverse action process. That means sending them a notice.
Okay, what's in the notice?
It has to include a copy of the actual consumer report you received and also a summary of their rights under the FCRA. The agency usually provides that summary.
So they see exactly what you see, plus their rights.
Exactly. And crucially, you have to give them a reasonable amount of time to look it over.
How long is reasonable? Is that defined?
Well, the law doesn't give a hard number, like 5 days or 7 days, but it needs to be enough time for them to realistically review it, contact the reporting agency if they see an error, and start the dispute process. Usually companies lean towards something like 5 business days, but you need to be practical.
So it's about giving them a fair shot to fix mistakes before you make the final call. Due process.
That's the essence of it. It protects them, and frankly, it protects you too by showing you followed the rules.
Okay, so they get the pre-adverse notice, they have some time. What happens next if you still decide not to hire based on the report?
Then, after that reasonable period, if your decision stands, you must send the formal adverse action notice.
Another notice?
Yes, a separate one. And this one has specific requirements too. It needs to state the action you're taking, not hiring them. It must include the name, address, and phone number of the consumer reporting agency that gave you the report.
So they know who to contact.
Right. And it needs to explicitly say that the reporting agency didn't make the decision to take the adverse action and can't explain why the decision was made.
Ah, clarifying the agency's role.
Very important. Plus, it has to inform the candidate of their right to dispute the accuracy or completeness of the report with that agency, and their right to get another free copy of the report from the agency within 60 days.
Wow, okay. Lots of specific details there. Seems vital for fairness. What about after everything's done? Decision made. Maybe they're hired, maybe not. What about keeping that report info secure?
Good question. Privacy and secure disposal are key. The FCRA requires you to dispose of consumer report information properly so unauthorized people can't get it.
How do you do that properly?
The FTC have guidelines, basically. Common sense stuff like shredding paper copies, securely wiping electronic files. You can't just toss it in the bin. And remember, state or even local laws might have stricter rules on data disposal, so check those too.
Right. Federal is the floor, not always the ceiling. Okay, so these rules have consequences. Who's actually enforcing this? Who's the watchdog?
Primarily, it's two federal agencies. The Federal Trade Commission, the FTC, still has a role, especially concerning accuracy issues, sometimes pointing back to Part 604.
Okay, the FTC.
But a lot of the day-to-day enforcement for employers, the procedural stuff we've discussed, disclosure, authorization, adverse action, that now falls mostly to the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, the CFPB. Their rules are in Regulation V.
FTC and CFPB.
Yeah, fine.
Got it. Is it just them, or can the candidates themselves take action?
Oh, absolutely. The FCRA gives consumers real power. They can dispute errors directly with the background check company. And if an employer messes up either willfully, like they knew the rules and ignored them, or negligently, meaning carelessly,
Yeah.
the candidate can sue them directly. They could get actual damages, sometimes statutory damages, even if they can't prove specific financial harm, plus attorney's fees. That can get expensive.
Oof.
And don't forget the EEOC, the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. If your background check process ends up discriminating against certain groups, even unintentionally, the EEOC could get involved based on anti-discrimination laws. So it connects to broader fairness issues too.
Right, it's not just FCRA in a vacuum. Okay, we get the rules, we get the risks. Let's talk practical steps. What are the solid best practices HR folks should be implementing right now?
First things first. Choose your background check provider very carefully. Don't just go with the cheapest.
What should we look for?
Make sure they are a certified consumer reporting agency, a CRA, under the FCRA. Ask them about their processes. Do they provide the required FTC notices and rights summaries? How do they ensure accuracy? What's their dispute process like? They should be your compliance partner, really.
Vet your vendors. Makes sense. What about internal stuff? Policies, training?
Crucial. You need clear written internal policies that mirror the FCRA requirements. Step-by-step guides for your team on disclosure, authorization, pre-adverse, adverse action, disposal, everything.
Yeah, then train people on it.
Regularly. Anyone touching the hiring process needs to understand these procedures inside and out. Consistency is key. And maybe do periodic internal audits. Just check that people are actually following the policies. Catch issues before they become problems. This builds that reliable, fair process that supports a positive culture.
Proactive checks. Good idea. And keeping up with changes. The law isn't static.
No, it definitely isn't. You need a process for staying informed. Regularly check the eCFR for updates to Title 16, Subchapter F. Keep an eye on the CFPB's Regulation V12 CFR 1A22. Subscribe to alerts if you can.
Okay.
And again, don't forget state and local laws. California, for instance, often has its own twist. You need to track those too.
It's an ongoing task then. So boiling it down for busy HR managers listening, what are the absolute must-remember takeaways?
Okay, number one, FCRA isn't optional. It's the law, enforced by the FTC and CFPB. Number two, it's not just about avoiding lawsuits. Clear, fair processes build trust with candidates. That signals what kind of company you are. It's about treating people right, which is core to culture. And maybe number three, remember the basic flow: disclose and authorize, then if needed, pre-adverse action, then potentially adverse action, and always secure disposal. Get those steps right.
Disclosure and authorization, pre-adverse, adverse disposal.
Got it.
And if you could give HR managers just a few top tips, actionable advice.
Okay, top tips. 1, pick certified CRAs and really check them out. Don't skimp here. 2, train your teams. Train them again. Make sure everyone knows the drill. 3, stay awake. Monitor the eCFR and CFPB for updates. Be proactive, not reactive.
Excellent. So navigating the FCRA, it seems complex, but breaking it down to the eCFR structure, focusing on those core steps, disclosure, authorization, the adverse action notices, disposal, it becomes manageable.
It does. And it allows HR to ensure compliance, yes, but also to really show that commitment to fairness right from the first touch point.
Which, as you said, builds trust and sets the stage for the kind of workplace culture people want.
Exactly. And maybe that leads to a final thought for everyone listening. Think beyond just ticking the compliance boxes. How does meticulously following the FCRA, being transparent, giving candidates their due process, how does that impact their perception of your company before they even get an offer? It says a powerful message about fairness and respect. So the question to take back is, what conversations do you need to have internally to make sure these principles aren't just rules on paper, but are truly embedded in how you operate and ultimately shape your workplace culture?
Thank you, viewers, for watching. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit that like button and share it with your colleagues. And if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to the channel by clicking that subscribe button below so you never miss out on valuable insights. I'm Brian Edmonds, signing off. See you in the next one.